Hello friends, can we talk about landscapes? Landscapes are one of my favorite things to paint. So let's talk first about just the basic parts, right? So we have our foreground. That's the part that's supposed to look like it's really close to you, and we draw everything here big. So if I were going to draw a flower in this picture, I would want to make sure I draw it really big if it's in the foreground. I want to make it look like it's really close to me. So I would want to draw it really big. That way it looks like it's close. Like I could reach right out and pick that flower. So we have foreground. Then we have the midground. It's a little bit further away, and we also usually make it a little bit narrower. See how the foreground looks a bit bigger? Usually the midground is going to be a little smaller, and it starts moving up the page. That helps make it look further away. So if I were also going to have a few of these little funny imaginary purple flowers in my midground, I'm not going to see as many details, and they're going to start to look like they're a little further away. Then I have my background way back here in the distance. I'm not going to see very many details there at all. So if I had flowers, the same little flowers back there, maybe there's a little field to move over here. They're barely even going to look like flowers at all because they're so tiny. And maybe there's a whole bunch of them and they're all just kind of massed together. Right? I might have a whole bunch of flowers way back there, but I don't see any details. So we have foreground, stuff is big, it makes it look close. Midground a little further away, and it's up the page a little bit. We make things a little smaller. And then background is way up here. We make things really small. And then if you want to add other things to your background after, you can add things like mountains or things like that. And then the one other thing we want to remember is our horizon line, right? Our horizon line, and that's where the sky meets the earth. So if there were no mountains in this picture, then the horizon line would be down here, right? But we have the mountains in the picture, so our horizon line, where the sky meets the earth in this picture, is actually right along here, right? Because the earth, the highest earth sticking up is the mountains, and there's the sky coming down to meet it. Okay, so other times you might see a horizon line a little different. You might see foreground, midground, background a little different, like in this seascape. If this was grasses and stuff here in the front, it would be down low on the page and we'd make it really big. And then even the waves look pretty big, right? The lines are longer, and then moving up the page to the midground, it's going to be smaller, like this man here in this boat. If he was going to be in the foreground and look close, I'd have to draw it really big, but he's a little bit further away. And then way back here, I have my person on the island in the background, and a little tiny person, some palm trees. And in this case, my horizon line goes right here, up along here and down, because that is where the sky comes down and meets the earth. So the horizon line actually comes down here too, where the sky meets the earth, where the water is, right? Water is part of the earth too. So it would be right along here. Okay, so we're going to be doing an activity where we are each starting with one piece of paper. And the first thing, of course, you'll do is write your name and then flip it over. And then you're going to draw your foreground. So you're going to have your line that just comes right across. And you will have 2 minutes to draw your foreground line and anything you want to put in the foreground. It's going to have to be pretty big because we want it to look really close to us. Then we'll have about 2 minutes on our timer, and when the timer goes off, we will switch papers and the next person gets to draw the midground and whatever you want to put in it. Okay? And then we'll have about 2 minutes to add things to the midground before we trade back again. And then you'll get your original picture back again, and you can draw in your background and whatever else you want to put in your background. Okay? So let's get started.